Yeah, specifically for heavy metals. Yeah, and planning to do it from abroad. Probably. Let's see if
Let's
I
see
get
when
good
the
solution.
pandemic condition will
Yeah,
improve. So
maybe by next year. Actually, I'm trying to finish my PhD. So by next year, probably. So
it's really inspiring that we have such women in our surroundings who have achieved already. So it's like
yeah,
we also look for some mentor, and so yeah.
yeah, that's great. So I welcome all the participants who have joined till now. Good evening and good afternoon also to all the international participants. So we are glad to have you also in these series.
Thank you so much. So Rishabh sir, you will be moving these slides, or this will be from my part, because I guess
From your part, you will be sharing the content.
okay.
Okay. So in like few minutes, he'll make you the host, like a presenter, and
Yes.
then you can start sharing your screen. Okay.
Anupma, I think we should start. Hello, Anupma.
Okay. Shall we start?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So may I?
Okay, fine. I'll start. So, good evening to one and all. I welcome you all to the fourth session track of IEEE Empowering Women in STEM. So, in past 3 days, we have been introducing you all with speakers, like women speakers working in nanotechnology, working in photonics, working in aerospace. But today we have a speaker who has been working in biomedical engineering. So she is none other than Ritika Mahajan. She's doing her master's at NIT Kurukshetra, and she has done her BTech and also worked as a lecturer in an engineering college at Himachal Pradesh. So with this brief intro, I welcome you, Ritika, and you can take up the session.
Thank you so much, Anupama ma'am. So, hello everyone. This is, as Anupama ma'am introduced, this is Ritika Mahajan from NIT Kurukshetra, and thanks a lot for providing me this great opportunity to share my views on this topic, which is really very uh, touchy topic. And actually, this is a topic, and that's too if the views are shared by a woman who has actually gone through different phases and is pursuing her career in science and technology. So it's a really a great opportunity for me. So today, it's fourth day that we have started with we are presenting our views in women in STEM. So today my topic is women in STEM breaking the barrier, enabling India. So as this topic says, my focus will be basically on the barrier that women face while proceeding towards her career in STEM, that is science and technology, and how she can contribute towards India and also its society, and how she can contribute her work for the welfare of the humanity and to the world. So, with this, as an old proverb says, when a man is educated, an individual is educated, while when a woman is educated, a family and a country are educated. So this is not just a single proverb, but it has a depth meaning. Because when a woman is educated, she not only educates her child, her sisters, her family, but also a country. So, but why this? Okay, so if women has such power, then why this issue has been raised to empower the women, and there is and why STEM has been established? The reason was that the women in society are facing various barriers, and these are not only the societal barriers, but these are psychological barriers and various other barriers. So first, I will introduce you with the societal barriers in STEM that a women face. So first is the gender and income inequality. Second, discrimination, double competence, queen bee effect, black sheep effect, lack of support and mentorship, stereotypical threat, misunderstood motherhood, and a lot more. So we know that there is a gender and income inequality. Those who are also already pursuing their career in STEM, they know this thing very well, that the society has made this system in the favor of men. Otherwise, the policies that have been introduced later on, there will be no need to introduce that, right? So from very beginning, the this thing was we have faced a male dominant society, and the policies have already been in favor of men. But since the time has changed, the policies for the women have come, but still the gender and income inequality still persist in our society. Second, double competence, where a woman has to prove herself over and over again for the same work that has been done by a man. Third, lack of support and mentorship. Fourth, queen bee effect and the black sheep effect. So this effect is very new. Because none of the previous speakers have introduced with this effect. So I will cover up with this effect also. So queen bee effect is that when a woman is there in a social platform, so she will try to empower a women whom she considered that okay, she is not having required skills, but she will help her, but not in a way that she will come to her level. While in the black sheep effect, the women who is already having that abilities will favor the women who is having such abilities that she sees okay, she is having such abilities that is desired. While in the case of the queen bee effect, the effect is really opposite. So not only the men that is creating a threat for the women in the STEM, but sometimes it's also women that is also creating the same effect. So it goes with the both ends. Next is lack of support and mentorship. So the lack of support can be from the family, from the society, sometimes from the culture, because sometimes it's the culture that doesn't support that okay, women should go in this STEM, because it's the mindset of the society that okay, STEM is basically a masculine branch, so it's better that men should go. I think some of the girls and some of the women have faced this stereotypical thinking of society also. So this is, and thereby the parents should sometimes think okay, so this is for the women, this branch is for the men. Okay, so if a girl is born, then yeah, she can go to pursue doctors, and she can go for science, and when a boy is born, and he can pursue his career as a engineer. So this kind of mentality still exists in our society. Next is misunderstood motherhood. So when the policies were drawn earlier, so motherhood was not taken into consideration that yes, the women should need a leave, and because she has to give birth to a child, and yeah, so at this particular condition, so there should be special preferences for the women to get holidays, and some other preferences should be given, but that was not in the mindset of the policy makers. But later on it was introduced, and yeah, the government has made such efforts to help women during that period. So these are some of the societal barriers that the women face in her STEM career. Next is psychological barriers. This is the most untouched topic. That is lack of interest, lack of confidence, and stereotypical threat. These barriers never exist in the society. I mean, these barriers are only in the mindset of a girl, because she thinks that okay, she has a lack of confidence. Okay, I can excel in maths. Okay, I can excel in. I can be an astronaut. I can be good in artificial intelligence, and I can be a good coder. I can be an hacker. And second thing is lack of interest. Lack of interest means it's not that the women is a girl or women is not interested in that field, but it's in her mind that yeah, I'm that she feels that she's not interested in STEM field and other things that she finds more interesting, because she thinks that are more easier, that will provide more opportunity and to raise income, and that will be more easy to go, because there are more women representative in that thing, because the society has already divided some work uh, in man and women. So she thinks in that way. That is in her mindset. That doesn't actually exist at all, because we have seen many female coders, uh, astronauts, and other various examples are still in the society, but still she thinks in that way. And the reason for that is social, culture, and sometimes the family norms, because she has been raised seeing women in her surroundings. So if those women are not pursuing her career in STEM, so she thinks that this area is not for a woman, right? So, and second thing, if I will, okay, so third thing is stereotypical threat. That is already, we can't change this mentality of the society, but what we can change is by setting an example, we can make other girls to see that yes, this can be possible. And yeah, STEM field is not only for the men, this is also for the women. Uh, I'm facing some trouble with movement while moving these slides. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Do you want Rishabh to
Okay.
broadcast?
Yeah. So, Rishabh, so can
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Rishabh, could you
Okay. So,
broadcast?
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
so the
So,
next thing
Ritika,
is, yes, ma'am.
yeah. Every time you want to move the slide, you can say next. Then Rishabh will proceed. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. So, women in workforce India. So now I will go through various points that what is the scenario of women in the workforce in India. So according to a very reputed newspaper, so this survey was done, and they found that only 14% of Indian research is actually contributed by women, and only 65% of Indian women receives basic education. So this scenario is really very bad, because only 14%, not only the 50% of Indian research is contributed by women. So moving on to the education part. So yeah, no doubt that women are closing the higher education gap. And among the graduates that the survey has been done, the undergraduates degree holder were only 53% women were undergraduate degree holders, while PhD was 41.8%. Coming on to the pay gap, that I was saying that yeah, there is some income disparities also there. So yeah, gender pay gap is slowly shrinking in India, but still the women is earning only 65% of what their male colleagues earn for performing the same task. That means we are not equating the women work with the men work. The same work that is being done by men and the same work that is being done by the women, only that women earn 65% of their male colleagues, and this condition actually exists in our society. Next is leadership. So only okay, so the pipeline for the women starts small and continues to shrink due to the efforts that has been made by government and obviously the family, and yeah, we girls and our friends that have taken the initiative. Because of that, the women have started to become directors of various companies, and according to Nifty, in the top 50 companies in the Nifty, only five had two female directors. And this is the scenario of the world. So you can see that only five companies were having two female directors. And so when coming to India, we came to know that women hold only 50% of the 15% of the board seats, and only 6% of the board chairs are women. And out of this 6%, how many are independent women and how many are not the first or second relative of the men, those who are already holding the board of director platform? So this thing has to be raised, and so we have to make a clear cut picture of that, that how many independent women are actually leading the companies. So now, for this reason, to overcome these barriers, the women in STEM came in uh, 2001. So its four basic aim is to increase the visibility of women in STEM, promote STEM careers for women, raise gender equality, and to make greater participation, leadership, and recognition of women in STEM field. So there are various strategies for increasing the representation of women, but I will focus on the four. That is self-affirmation, organization efforts, role model, and stereotypical threat awareness. So basically, the first one is self-affirmation. So what does it mean? This means that the women should know what are her capabilities. Like it's only you. If you know that what you can do it, you will definitely do it, no matter what other people say. But if you have trust in yourself, if you have trust in your capabilities, then definitely you are going to break all rules and to pursue your dreams and achieve your goal. Second is organization efforts. So in organization efforts, we count the efforts made by NGOs, the government, and obviously the STEM. Next is role model. Yeah, without role models, sometimes we feel so low that we think, yeah, this branch is not for us. We can't pursue, we can't do it. At that point, we need a role model who has already established a milestone in that field. So, having a role model is really very important. For me, my role model was Kalpana Chawla when I was when in my childhood. Although she was not from my branch, but that is not the thing. But the way she achieved her dreams, the way she break the stereotypical mentality of the society was a was every time that gives me a strength that yes, if she can, why not me? Why can't I pursue my career in science and technology? Why I can't be an engineer? So having a role model is really really important. So we girls, so we women should have a role model in our life, and we should also help others to see those role models. And yes, obviously we try to become a role model for everyone else so that people can see us, and yes, we can make some girl to dream, yes, if she can, why not me? Next is stereotypical threat awareness. This is the very important thing, that we should make girls and women aware of this stereotypical threat, that whatsoever you are thinking, it's just a threat. If you overcome this threat, no doubt you will achieve your dream. So a survey was conducted and a test was conducted actually. So there they know that when the girls were made aware of stereotypical threat, that is, you are basically you are not good in maths, you are not good in coding, these are kind of a stereotypical thinking. So when they are made aware of these things, that this is only a threat, you can do it, you can achieve, you can be a good coder, you can be a good you can be a good in mathematics. So when they were made aware of these things, they achieve good grades. So that means somewhere you have to focus on the mindset of the women. So what she is thinking, and she should know that yes, I can achieve, and this is just a psychological barrier, and I should overcome these barriers. Next, Rishabh sir. No, okay. So next is organizational effort.
Right now you can do it.
Okay, yeah. Organizational efforts. So in the organization, so we have seen that yeah, government is actually doing a lot more effort uh, to empower the women in these fields. So these can be done by improving the STEM education and supporting the girls for starting in early education. That is, there is a platform K-12, from where the online learning is provided from kindergarten to 12th standard for the girls, so that if they are not able to go to school due to some other reasons, they can get the same education while staying at home. Next is to give girls and women the skills and confidence to succeed in maths and science. Maths and science are actually a threat for the women. uh, I will not say that this is for every girl, but yeah, uh, we are living in a society where it is considered that yeah, so women are not good in maths and science. So I think we will soon overcome this kind of mentality, but still now it's really exists. So the girls and women should make able, that means their skill set should be improved, because when their skill set is improved, the confidence will already come in them, and they will definitely face any threat and face any societal barriers and any kind of barriers, and they can achieve. So there is an initiative, that is Indian Girls Code. That is the initiative taken by robotics. So it's a free hands-on coding and robotics education program for the underprivileged girls. Next thing that can be done is that we have to design a course and change environments and practice in STEM studies that will be more welcoming for the women. And we should also focus on recruiting female employees and work, and to promote the women through their careers in strong advancement pipelines and continued professional development and leadership training. So it's not about getting into the STEM, but it's about holding a position to be a role model for other women to come into that field and achieve uh, a lot. So it's kind of going making sure shoulder to shoulder with the men, right? So it should not be like, okay, so I am a role model, I am a leader of company, I will not support any other girl to come to this levels. This should not be the mindset. If you have achieved, then you should try to make other women in your organization or in your society to achieve the same position, to try, at least you can try them, to remove the barriers that they are facing, to help them, to support them, to make them visualize, yes, you can achieve this position in this way. So this is the thing. So only a woman can support a woman in that field. And next is so various scholarship programs have been introduced for Indian women in science. So I know that the previous speakers have already shared various scholarship programs. So I will be giving a brief hint about what all other scholarship programs are also there. So first is Society of Women Engineers Scholarship. So this is for the women who wants to pursue BTech and MTech programs and or BTech graduate programs in the US. And this scholarship is mainly awarded in May and July, and recipients will be announced in September. Next is Graduate Women in Science National Fellowship Program. So these fellowships that right now I'm discussing is for the abroad. For the Indian, if you want to pursue your career in India, so various other scholarship programs are also there that are being organized by DST, DBT. So in this GWIS fellowship program, so you can go for higher studies in the US and abroad. And this is for the women who wants to pursue their career in natural science and are interested in the research work. Next initiative that is by the DST, which is Kiran, that is knowledge involvement in research advancement through nurturing. So the key components of this program is WSE, WSB, and WSC that has already been reviewed by the previous speakers also. So I'm just going through in a brief. So WSA, that is Women Scientist Scheme A, this aim to provide opportunities to women scientists and technologists for pursuing research in basic and applied science in frontier areas of science and engineering. While the Scheme B, this focuses on the S&T, that is Science and Technology Solutions of the challenges, that is issues at the grassroots levels. And the Scheme C, this create an opportunities of the self-employment. So all these three schemes aimed at three different pillars of education and career of women. So depending upon what you want, you can go and Google it and get some more knowledge about what are the basic criteria to get this scholarship, and what is the age barrier. Is there any age barrier or something other barrier is also there. Next is the list of the women empowerment programs and schemes that are actually prevailing in India. So first is, we all know about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme. So in this scheme basically focuses on the education to girls and their welfare. So this starts with a this starts with the grassroots level. That is, it starts from the very beginning, from when a girl enter into the STEM branch or when a girl enter into the school. So this focus on that each and every girl child should be given education, and it's her right to get education. So, and in this scheme, yeah, there is a provision that so that we can celebrate the birth of a girl child, so that no one will be like, okay, a girl is born. That is basically the mindset of the Indian society. I'm really sorry, but yeah, this thing actually exists. So, next is Women Helpline Scheme. As we all know that if you face any kind of harassment in your place where you are working on any other public place, then you can take the help of Women Helpline Scheme. Third is Working Women Hostel. So this is to promote the availability of safe and convenient accommodation for the working women, because when a woman go from one place to another place for work or for the education, so if she face that accommodation problem, so she can make use of this scheme for the availability of safe and convenient accommodation wherever possible, whether it's in the urban, semi-urban, or even the rural areas where employment opportunities for the women exist. These schemes provide her accommodation. Next is Rajiv Gandhi National Grid Scheme for the children of working mothers. So this was a very so this proves a helping hand for the women who think, okay, after getting maternity leave, so from okay, so if she is a single mother or she is living far away from her family, who will take the responsibility of her child? So this scheme was launched for that, to provide a daycare facilities for the children 6 months to 6 years of the working mothers in the community, so that she will not be forced to give a break to her career due to due to the thing that she has to look after her child and her family. So this thing was introduced in that way, and this not only focus on the daycare facilities for the children, but it also helps in the improvement of the nutrition and health status of the children, and to promote the physical, social, emotional, and the cognitive development of children, so that the women should can focus only on her career. And second is step, and okay, so yeah, Nari Shakti Puraskar. So this was launched to recognize the women who have already exceeded the expectations, to challenge the status, who have already achieved a lot in their field, and who can be a role model for others. So this award, that is Nari Shakti Puraskar Award, uh, is like an okay, so this gives a motivation for others to go and to achieve the same that has been done by their role model. So this is a milestone in the women empowerment. Next is Mahila E Haath. So this is to help women to make financial and economic choices, and which will enable them to be a part of Make in India and Stand Up India initiative. So that means if you are thinking of a startup, okay, and if you want to contribute in the Make in India, so this scheme will provide you financial and economic benefits. So next is returnship program for women in tech. So these returnship programs have been introduced for those women who are working in private sectors. So these programs are, if a woman take break due to any other reason, that can be for the as a maternity leave or any other family issues, she can come back and rejoin the same organization through these programs. And these programs have been given different name in different organizations, that is Recharge in the PayPal, Restarting GE India, Rekindle in Amazon, and Renew in L&T company. So it's not like that once you have taken a break in your career, then this is the end of your career. No, this is not. Even if you are working in the private sector, still the company has such schemes that you can restart and rejoin the organization through these schemes. Most of the women are not aware of these schemes, but yes, not only the government, the private sector has also taken the initiative to let the women come and show her talent. So taking a break is not the end of your career. You can start anytime. So these returnship programs focus from 2 weeks to 6 weeks to 6 months, or even if you have taken break for 2 years, still some companies have the opportunity that after 2 years break, even after then you can also rejoin the program. Next thing is the role model. So as I was talking that in our life, when we are going in this field, then when we are pursuing our career in STEM field, sometimes we feel low, because we see most of the this field is covered with men. So most of the employees are men. Only a few ratio is there for the women. You can see only 1 or 2 women working amongst 10 men. So sometimes we feel demotivated. So, and sometimes due to the social, cultural, or family threats, we feel demotivated. Sometimes they say that what you want, why you want to study higher, why you want to pursue. So at this point of time, you just need a role model. because these are the women that have already achieved a lot, breaking the stereotypical thinking of society and uh, breaking the barriers. They have achieved a lot. It's not about they have achieved that in the 21st century, but from the time when India was under British rule, these women were unstoppable. So I am going through a few of them. So first is Kadambini Basu Ganguly. She was the first female graduate of the British Empire and the first female physician of South Asia to be trained in the Western medicine. She studied medicine at the Calcutta Medical College and graduated in 1886. Next, Anna Mani. She was the former Deputy Director General of IMA and made significant contribution in the field of meteorological instrumentation. She has conducted various research and programs and published various papers on solar radiation and has authored two books. That is the Handbook of Solar Radiation Data for India in 1980, and she won the K.R. Ramanathan Medal in 1987. Next, Dr. Indira Hinduja. She is an Indian gynecologist and she was the one who gave the country's first baby out of the test tube technique on 24th January 1991, and she was also credited for developing an oocyte donation technique. Next, Kiran Majmudar Shaw. She is the chairman and managing director of Biocon Limited. One of the previous author has already give a brief about her. So I'm moving on next. That is Dr. Aditi Pant. She is an oceanographer by profession, and she is the one of the first Indian women to visit the icy continent Antarctic, and has been awarded for her outstanding contribution to Indian Antarctic program. Some more name in this field is Dr. Suman Sahai, who is the founder of Gene Campaign in India. She is the brain and the brawn behind the patent campaign for Neem and Haldi. So Neem and Haldi we all know, but she was behind the all these things that yeah, India should take the patent for these existing medicinal plants that are being used to cure various disease. So her name figures in the list of successful women pioneers in India. Next is Kalpana Chawla. Who doesn't know about Kalpana Chawla? Yeah, she was the first Indian American astronaut and the first Indian woman in space. So NASA chief called her a terrific astronaut. She has break up many stereotypical barriers in her society, and then she achieved her dream. So next is Rajeshwari Chatterjee. She is the first women scientist to pioneer the field of microwave engineering and antenna engineering in India. She is a retired. She has retired as a professor and chairperson of Department of Electrocommunication Engineering, that is IISc Bangalore. Moving on to Missile Women of India, we all have heard about Missile Men of India, right? So this name is really a role model for all those who are looking into the field of defense, and she has break many stereotypical things that defense is only for the men, because she is called as a Missile Women of India, and she is a scientist and DRDO, and she is okay. So Agni Missile Project was directed by her, and she has made a lot more contributions in this project, and she was handling this project by her own. So not only the defense sector, not only the astronaut, the space field, each and every field has been women has contributed and achieved a lot in each and every field. And thinking about the women, that stereotypical thinking about the women can't achieve and can't do this thing, so we have to overcome this barrier first. Only then we can make our girl, we can make the women to achieve a lot, right? So this begins with us because we are the future of India. So if we can contribute, if we can achieve a lot, we can be a role model for the upcoming generation that yes, this is possible. The career, the science and technology branch is not a gender biased. It is open to all. Everyone can achieve the same thing that is achieved by men or women. So it is not a gender biased. There is an equal opportunity for all. So with this, I want to end my session. I know that this is not the enough, but this is not the less also. So I think I've been able to raise my views, and now I'm looking forward for all your queries. So with this, I'm open to all your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ritika. So, any discussions, any questions from our participants? So you can unmute yourself and directly ask. Okay, so anything you would like to ask her regarding biomedical engineering, as she's from that background? So you can she can take up those questions. Anything related to careers in biomedical engineering? Yeah, Miss Anuja, your mic is on. Anything you would like to say?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, ma'am. This is Sridevi.
Yes.
Actually, I want to know about means how 3D printing additive manufacturing is contributes towards the biomedical engineering, it's biomedical field. I just
Okay.
want to know about it.
Okay, so I haven't researched a lot in this thing, but yeah, if you are looking forward to design an organ or something like that, so in
Yes,
that field, yes, this can help. For example, making an artificial organ, so you can
yes.
uh, go with that. But
Okay.
this thing
Actually,
requires a lot of research.
yes, ma'am. And I want to know about the materials, so means which will contribute more towards this biomedical fields, like which
Like,
type of materials.
Yeah.
okay, so are you asking about the biomaterials or?
Yes, ma'am, biomaterials.
Okay, so that depends on for what you are actually making for. For example, if you are looking for making bone, or if you are making looking for making an artificial organ, that
Yeah, yeah.
endothelium. So we have different skin layers and we have different organs and we have different types. So that basically depends upon these things. So biomaterials are being classified on the on the type or what they are being used. For example, if you are making use of them for the manufacturing of the soft tissues, so they will be different. For the hard tissue, they will be different.
Actually, where we will get all this data, ma'am, regarding this biomaterials and is there any website or any books?
Yeah, so I have a book. So we have gone through a book even in our masters. So I will share that with you. Um,
Okay, fine.
yeah, so and on this site, on if you Google it, so you will definitely get it. But just you have to write artificial organs and biomaterials. So you will get
Okay,
a lot more stuff.
okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So, Sri Devi, ma'am, in
Yes,
CSI
ma'am.
also we have a 3D printer. So there
Yes,
is
yes.
a scientist, Mr. Vijay Meena. So you
Okay,
can
sir.
look into the website of CSIO. So he has been working in designing models using 3D printing, like organs.
Actually, in our college also we are having 3D printers, ma'am. We are working
Okay.
on that design only. So, will
Okay.
you please repeat that name? CSIO.
Yeah, CSIR, CSIO Chandigarh is the lab, and the
Yes, ma'am.
scientist name is Mr. Vijay Meena.
Okay.
Okay, so you can go to this website. and you can look
Okay.
into his works
I'll
for
ma'am.
more details.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the information.
Thank you.
So, Miss Anuja, would you like to say something? Your mic is on. Any questions you would like to ask?
So, one thing I just want to make them aware of thing that biomedical is not like if you haven't done bachelor's in biomedical, you can't go and work in this field because even my bachelor's in uh, electronics and communication. So biomedical field is a very vast field. Anyone can go in that field, whether you are from control and instrumentation, whether you are from signal processing, you are from the basic biomedical sciences, so life sciences. So it's an interdisciplinary branch. So anyone can contribute for that, and this is the high time where we can contribute, right? So you all know about the COVID-19, right?
Yes.
So,
That's great. So Ritika is saying it's an interdisciplinary field. So anyone who would like to pursue career in that, so you can go for biomedical engineering. Yeah. So
yeah. So there is a question that's raised by some that is any special training for medical scientists specifically in biomaterials. So may could you please elaborate this question?
yeah, Priyanka, you can unmute yourself and ask. Uh,
Maybe there is a
Ritika,
she can
yeah, I
write
think
in
she
the
might
chat.
have some network issue. So you can
Okay.
give a general
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
So, so that depends. Okay, so where that depends on what kind of work you are actually looking into biomaterials, whether it's a manufacturing work or you are just going for the research and development field. So, if it's manufacturing, yeah, you should try to go for the industries that are actually working in that field. But prior to that, you should know what kind of biomaterials you have to use for that particular thing that you want to make. And next thing is that special training is so it's being provided in the labs only. Labs, whether it's lab from the government organization or some private companies that are dealing with that. So if you are trying to pursue your career in that field, it's better that you should do some research, R&D work in that thing. So it's not. I think there are more opportunities in abroad. So various institutes are there. That is Harvard Institute, MIT is there. So their biomedical area is really far better than what exposure you get in India. So if you want to get more exposure in this field, so it's better that you should try for abroad.
Okay. Thank you. Any more questions before we end up today's session? Any more discussions on any doubts, anything?
So yeah, I
So,
think that is this is done. So yeah,
yeah.
mm,
So thank you, Ritika. You have given a great
thank you
information
so much.
and glimpse of various scholarships and various returnship programs. That was a great part of your presentation. So now to thank our speaker, I request everyone to turn on their camera and we can have a group picture with our speaker. And to give a glimpse of tomorrow's session, tomorrow we'll be having a woman in AI to deliver a talk. So we request everyone join tomorrow's session. Yeah, Ritika, you also can turn on your camera and stop sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are waiting. Yeah.
So is
Any
that
more people
okay?
joining us? I'm not able to still see you. Wait. Ritika, you need to,
It was good earlier.
like, your picture is not good.
Yeah, this signal problem is there.
Yeah,
So
just
yeah.
turn on your camera.
Yeah, it is good. It is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you all enjoyed and got enough information. So we'll see you all tomorrow for our last series, like last session of this series. So thank you all for joining us and stay safe. Bye bye. Good evening.